Created by the Ducat Production.
Sorry, Miss Lloyd.
Antonio's friends, Graziano and Lorenzo, have some thoughts about Antonio's melancholy state. What kind of guy do you think Graziano is?
I think he is one who does not dwell on the tragedies and burdens of life and prefers to live as luxurious as possible, free of business and serious matters. He frowns upon how Antonio claims his role of life as sad, and states that if given the opportunity, people should indulge in the finer things that life has to offer. Bassanio says to Antonio that he knows where in his time something too prodigal has left him engaged. This is a biblical illusion. Analyze the illusion.
This biblical illusion refers to the prodigal son, who impulsively spends all his money, but ultimately returns back to his father with forgiveness. Bassanio uses the illusion because he wants to explain to Antonio that he wants to pay off all his debts. He wants to be able to eventually... In Belmont, what seems to be frustrating Portia?
Portia, during her discussion with Nerissa, voices her feelings of being overwhelmed regarding the amount of suitors attempting to pursue her hand in marriage. She states that she does not want to marry any of them, but is burdened by the idea of rejecting them. She also keeps the thought of her late father in mind and wants her decision to have what would have been his best wishes.
What does Nerissa, who is Portia's maiden friend, say to calm Portia?
She tells Portia that the right man who would have been liked by her father will come along, and she will know she will choose him, as well as be confident in her decision. Throughout her conversation with Portia, she lists off some of the suitors, and there are rarely good words spoken about any of the men until the very end, before the serving man comes to deliver news. At one point, she also tells Portia to go and rest, as she has access to her information and the suitors, which can put her at ease. How would you describe Shylock's feelings about Antonio?
I would describe Shylock's initial feelings towards Antonio as contempt because of his religious beliefs as a Christian. He also feels like this because Antonio does not charge interest when lending money to people. We can see this at the bottom of page 29, where Antonio enters a conversation between Bassanio and Shylock. Shylock expresses heightened feelings by saying, "He lends out money, gratis, and brings down the rate of usance here with us in Venice." This means that it is more difficult for the other lenders in Venice to have a high success rate.
Address 2 to 3 allusions in the section of the play. What is their significance, and why might Shakespeare have chosen them to illustrate this point?
Okay, so the Shakespeare, he includes a biblical story of Jacob and Laban. Shakespeare includes the biblical story of Jacob and Laban. In Genesis, Jacob and Laban strike a deal that allows Jacob to marry his cousin. Since all the party-colored lambs would eventually belong to Jacob, he finds a way for those characteristics to be favored. This ensures that he takes possession of the lambs, which he turns into rich money. The allusion best relates to the character of Shylock, the man who loans money to Bassanio. Both of these characters view the story completely differently, which reflects the further complication between Christians and Jews. Antonio views the success of Jacob in the story as God's doing, while Shylock views it as shrewdness. Antonio believes Shylock justifies the practice of usury through the biblical story itself. Shakespeare might have included this allusion because it serves as a prime example of the controversy on the interpretation of the Bible by Jews and Christians.
Shakespeare also includes Nazarite as an allusion. In Merchant of Venice, Bassanio had invited Shylock over to have dinner with him. When they presented pork, Shylock got offended because he was not allowed to eat pork because he's a Jew. Shylock then mentions the prophet of Nazareth, which in this case is Jesus. He makes a reference to the biblical story of when Jesus ordered the possessive devils into a pig herd, leading about 2,000 pigs to their death, when he could have sent them into the abyss where they would be rid of immediately. The imagery of pigs represents the image of Jews, as they don't eat pork, and having sent the devils to show them hatred for the Jews. The illusion is one of the many representations of the anti-Semitism shown throughout the play. Shakespeare might also have included this illusion because it represents the humanistic character of how low people will go to make the opposed feel inferior.
Good chat.